Hi. In this video, I'm going to go over JenDoc law pleading paper. I'm going to come over to the JenDoc law tab, and you see over here we have all these pleading paper items. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to add some text to our document. So I'm going to click this outline section, and I'm just going to call this outline section, I don't know, descriptions. And so I click that button and I get this outline section, and you'll see that this here is actually, it's a heading style 1. And so what that does for me is it does a couple things, and I'm just going to insert some text here. Let's see, let me just a little bit of text in there. So you see this, we have two sections. We have this outline section, and then nested inside of that we have this other section, and this section holds text that goes with this outline section. And so because this section is a heading style 1, it does a couple things. First, it allows me to collapse this section, collapse and expand this section. And then also, what it does, so I'm just going to put some space here. And you see when I put some space here, if I get it to start and insert some lines, it kind of inherits this formatting. So to get rid of that, all you need to do is you can click this Remove Outline Level button, and it's going to get rid of that formatting for you, because otherwise it's a little bit of a hassle to get rid of. Okay, so I have some space in there, and then if I come to my references section and I insert a table of contents here, because this has been formatted automatically for me as a heading style, it's going to show up in my table of contents because my table of contents is based on styles. So anything that I insert with the outline section is going to be included in the table of contents, and I can make these headings any level that I want them to be. If I insert another one and I let's call it, I don't know, test. I can't think of anything. And if I want to insert it as a level 2 heading, then I can do that, and I'll change the section name. And now you see it's smaller. It's this, you see it's a heading 2 style. And then if I come up here and I update my table, I'm going to update the entire table, say OK. Now you see it's put into the table of contents appropriately. It's as a level 2. And then if I collapse this section, it's also going to collapse that section because that's a level 2. So it's below, it's kind of like a subsection of the heading 1. Now if I actually wanted to make this a subsection that I could move around with this field, then what I can do is I can put this inside of this field. Now you see it's inside of this field, and so if I have some text here, I have some other text, and I want to move this whole thing, if I move it, oops, I'm just going to have to put some lines after this to move it. So now I can move it down here, and you see that the whole thing has moved as a unit. This outline section and everything that is nested within it, which is this section, and then also this other outline section that I put in there. And let me put some text in there. I'll just put a little bit of, I just put like I'll just put something short, very short. Okay, so that all has moved together. And if I don't want this to move with this anymore, then I can move it outside of this section. And now, if I move this section, it is going to move independently of that section. So it's just a convenient way to keep things grouped together. And, I can put as many sections in here as I want. We also have these sections that are just regular sections. They're not outline sections. So they're just going to be like this section here. So I can put a section here, and now I have some text in here. I'll just make it light blue so we can see it. And so this section is another section within this section. So if I need to move it around, say I want to decide later, okay, this belongs up here, I can just move it. I can move the whole section. So those are the two types of sections we have: outline section, and those allow us to build our document. I'm just going to get rid of this because it's better if we just put it all in sections. And then again, I update my table, and well, see, this is a heading 2 right now, and this is a heading 1. So what I'm probably going to want to do is, there's 2 ways to change this. I can either click on rename section, oops, but what I need to do is I need to actually highlight the field first, and then I do rename section, and then I can change a name, but I can also change the heading level. So, but if all I want to do is change a heading level, I can also do it this way. I just do heading 1. Now it's heading 1, and I'll make this one heading 3. And then I, update my table of contents, and now everything is back in the proper order. So that's the fields that we add to our document. I don't know if you'd actually have a table of contents in Pleading Paper, so I'm just going to take that out. But so next, what do we want to get to? We want to get to the actual creation of our Pleading Paper document. So, okay. So when we do that, we can just add our line numbers. We click this button and we get our Pleading Paper line numbers. I have 27 numbers just because that's what really fit with the margins that I have on the page. I'd be interested in any feedback as to whether or not it would be useful to be able to change the number of lines on the paper, or if 27 is fine. But then we look at this and we see that, the text is not really lined up with the numbers. And so I'm going to remove these numbers. Adding the Pleading Paper numbers is something you should do at the very end, because if you start moving things around while they're in there, then they're going to get messed up. So what I want to do is I want to make this double spaced, and I want to make this double spaced. All I have to do is highlight the control, click double space, and then my text is double spaced. And now I see, if I put my Pleading Paper numbers in, now I see everything is lined up correctly. So what if I have a block quote? Okay, what if I let me take this space out of these. So what if I'm going to remove these numbers. What if I have a section in here, right? And I have some text in there. And I want this text to be a block quote. And as you know, anyone who's used Pleading Paper, if you put in this single spaced block quote, everything's going to get all messed up as far as your numbering goes. So what I do is I insert a regular section, I put my quote in there, and I click on the section, and then I click this block quote button, and I can either align it left, and you'll see that I have the straight edge here, and these just kind of fall where they may, or you can do just, oops, I have to make sure I have the field selected, and then, or I can do justified. Oops. Oh, okay, that's something I need to fix, but that's not gonna give us any problems right now for the purposes of this demo. So I'm going to fix that, but that's a minor issue. So let's say I have this section and I got my text, and so my other option is, make sure I have selected this, and then my other option is justify. And so now I have both sides of this text justified. And now you see it's turned green and it's a block quote section. Just because, I don't know if you noticed, but each of these fields, as you hover over them, they turn the color of the field. This one is blue. Block quotes are green. And if I want to see where these fields start and end, right now we have them in what's called a bounding box that shows you where the field is, and I can change the style of that. I can change to start and end tags. So then you'll see that I have the start of the block quote and the end of the block quote. Those don't really work, as you can see, for anything that's nested or is a little bit longer. It can get a little bit confusing. So bounding box is the default that we're using. And you can also just hide the tags altogether so that as you're going through the document, you're not seeing any of that. But I'm going to put the bounding boxes back on. And so now if I add my pleading paper numbers, and I'm going to add another section here, just so you can see that everything's all out of whack now. So, well, it's actually, yeah. So let me make this double spaced. And see, now the numbering is all off. But we can fix that. So the way that we're going to fix that, because it's right up to here, and then we get to this single space thing, and then everything just kind of deteriorates. So we can fix that. We're going to click on the block quote, and then we're going to click fix spacing. And now you see a little bit of space has been added to this section, and now all of my numbering is correct again. Everything is lined up again. But again, you know, now I added something, so now I don't have numbers on this page. So, oops. So I'm just going to remove those numbers, and I'm just going to re-add them. And now you see that I've got my numbers, and I've got them on both pages. And everything is lined up correctly. And so, but say I had on my block quotes, say I had some text in here, right? I had some more text, and it's pushed me onto another line in this block quote, and now my numbering is all off again. Well, that's okay, because this button is like a toggle that it will work in this instance too, fix the spacing. Now it's just going to remove that extra little spacing at the end of this field, and now my numbering is back on track. And so you see how it kind of, see how it kind of comes and goes. So, you know, just you can add the space or take it out depending on what is messing up your line spacing. Okay, so that is the formatting section. So we've covered this section, and this section. And, yeah, okay. And, oh, and just so you know, this block quote, the reason that the font looks like this, the way it does, is that this formatting is based on whatever you have set as the quote style. And so that's true of everything that's on here. So if you're looking at this heading 1 and you're saying, that's horrible, I don't want that in my document, that's okay, because this is just the Word default. I have never changed it. But if you have changed this heading 1 to be something different, this is going to reflect whatever you have heading 1 set to be. So you don't have to be concerned that it's going to come out looking like this, because it won't. It will be whatever you have set for all of your styles here. Okay, so over here. Okay, here we have highlight fields. And so we have the ability to highlight all blank section fields, and so that includes outline sections and just regular sections. Or we can highlight fields by note. So first let me show you highlight all the blank fields. Right now I don't have any blank fields, but let me just put a couple in here. I'm going to get rid of these numbers. So I'm going to put in a blank outline section. Just going to call this blank. Oops. black section. I guess that's fine, but I'll blank section. Okay, and then I will put in just a regular section. And I wanted to point out one more thing. When I name the section, you see that I get the outline section : blank section. And then in the unnamed sections, they just say section. So that's something that we're going to use in a little bit, but I just wanted to point that out. So now I have 2 blank sections. And so if I do highlight fields, all blank section fields, this will show me all of the fields in my document that I have not populated with any content yet, so that I can easily see where they are. And if I am actually in the view, if I'm over here in outline view, I actually can see them as well. And you see that this is in a nice outline view because, like I said, we've been inserting these outline sections with headings. And so it's all in a nice, neat outline. And we can see those are our 2 blank sections. I'm going to close outline view. And so then, if I populate one of these sections, say that I populate this section, I put some text in here. So now this is no longer blank, and I'll show you if I come over here, I can clear highlight all blank section fields. So that gets rid of the highlight. And then if I highlight them, you'll see that this is the only one highlighted because now this is the only blank field that I have in my document. Okay, so I'm going to clear that. And before I talk about all fields by note, I'm going to have to show you what I mean by a note. Okay, so when I have these sections here, I can add a note to them. And so what I do is I click on the section that I want to add a note to, and I'm going to say change field note, and I'm going to change this to needs review. So I'm going to change note. It tells me the field note has been changed. So I put it on this one, then I'm going to come down here, and I'm also going to put it on, let's see, I'll put it on this, one. This needs review too. So I'm going to do change field note, needs review, change a note. Okay, so now I can't see that anything has changed. To me, the document looks exactly the same. But if I come up here, highlight all fields by note, I click needs review and I highlight them, these are the 2 fields that I have marked as needing review. And so then I can go back and review them. So I can clear the highlight on those, and then say I have another, say those need review, but this one down here is something else. This is check my argument or whatever. I don't know. So I change that note, and then I come up to highlight all fields by note, and now I have both of these, right? So I want to see needs review. So these are my 2 fields that need review, right? And so I'll clear those and check argument and highlight. And so this is my field that I need to check the argument on. And right now they're all highlighting the same color. I might change that in the future, but for now, if you probably can only search for them one at a time. So that is the note field. And so one other thing I want to show you, if I have put this in, right, I've got this test section, right, and it's a heading 1. I don't know why that. So it's a heading 1, and then I can change the name of this section, right? So right now it's named test, and maybe I'll name this opening statements. I mean, obviously I'm just using phrases I've heard on TV, but so I'm just going to name this opening statements. And you'll see that the name of the heading has changed, and also up here in the field box here, the name has changed. And then I'll call this section, I'll rename this section to opening statements text. Okay, and descriptions, and maybe I'll change this to rename this section describe the items. And now we see this is descriptions, this section is describe the items. This block quote section, I'll rename this to be this was the court's opinion. Okay, now block quote, court's opinion, and you know, this section I'm going to just rename as foo because I'm out of ideas. So this section is called foo, and then we have our blank section. I'm just going to leave that as is, but I'll put this blank section description. And then this one I'm just going to call our closing statements. Okay. So now I have all of these sections named, which serves a dual purpose. First of all, it helps me, you know, if I'm moving things around in my document, or I want to know what is this section about, then it kind of tells me, you know, what is each section about. But it also serves, over here we have this button, document summary. So if I click this, then what that does is it creates a document for me that shows me kind of the outline of my document, how I have it set up. And so it's going to use those descriptions that I've put in. So it shows me I have my section opening statements, and then within that I have the opening statements text, and then I have the description. I have an outline section, descriptions, and then describe the items in this section, and then I have another section that I apparently didn't name, and then I have, and you know, and that shows me that this is unnamed, so I can go back and name that if I want to. And I have the block quote section, which is the court's opinion, section foo, and then I have another outline section, which is a blank section. And this is where I would add my blank section descriptions and then my closing statements. And you know, if I look at this, I can say, okay, well, it's also set up a table of contents for me here based on all of these headings. And I can look at this and I can say, well, okay, well, something doesn't look right, because opening statements is a level 1, and then closing statements down here is just body text. And yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? And if I view these, I can actually view these side by side, and I can see, you know, I can kind of look at them together if I choose to do that. I'm not going to do that right now, but so if I come back here and I say, okay, opening statements is a level 1, and then I also want this, my closing statements, to be a level 1 too. So what I can do is come to the end here, and I'll insert another outline section, and I'll make this closing statements, and I'll just copy this text into here. Those are my closing statements, and then I'll just get rid of this section. I'll just delete it. And so now, let me close this out. I don't want to save it. So now if I do document summary again, now I can say, okay, well, that looks better. Right now, opening statements and closing statements are both level 1 headings. And so in that way, this outline just kind of helps me look at the structure of my document, and just everything kind of makes sense to me. And also, if I wanted to do it this way, I could set up, you know, I could just set up the bones of the document before I start adding any text. I just add all these sections and I name them, and I can kind of see the flow of how I want my document to look. So that's that. The only button we haven't talked about is this remove, actually I think we did talk about that at the beginning. It just it removes the outline formatting on an area. So if I was to remove that, it's turning it into body text. So if I'm going to rename this section, I'll turn it back to a heading 1. And now it's back to heading 1. So that is, oh, and I forgot at the end I have to, well, let's make sure I got all these spaced right. This one actually needs to be double spaced. And then I'll just add my pleading paper numbers. And now I have my pleading paper. This needs I need to fix the spacing. And now everything is, oops, this is this double space. This should be double spaced. Okay, and now everything is lined up correctly. And the only thing that's missing is if you want a line down here, you're going to have to put that in manually. It's pretty easy to do. You just insert shapes, lines, just hold down the shift key and start in the heading and just pull it down to the footer. You only have to do it on the first page because it's in, oops, it's in the heading. Well, I did it on both pages, but you get the picture. You only have to do it on the first page, and then you have your line on every page. And you'd probably want to change the color to black. It might already be black depending on your settings. But anyway, that's the only thing that you'd need to add if you want a line in there. So anyway, that is the pleading paper section, and thank you for watching.